All right. Welcome, everybody, to the Aquarium of the Pacific. It's my pleasure to be your host for the evening. My name is Jenny Dean, and I'm the Vice President of Education and Conservation here. We appreciate everyone who showed up in person, and we also appreciate those of you who are online. We do stream these lectures live in case you didn't get in before it's sold out, or maybe you want to watch it again in a couple of weeks. Tonight, we're here to talk about bioluminescence, and I know that you guys are all very excited. We see a teaser of what's to come behind us. Part of why we are here tonight is because of sponsorship. So we have 3 primary donors that make this evening possible. That's Stephen and Brenda Olson, the Osborn and Roork Charitable Trust, and the Courtyard by Marriott Long Beach Hotel. Now, bioluminescence is, I think, one of the coolest things about the ocean. Tonight we're going to hear about, not the science side. Oftentimes you come to First Wednesdays to hear about the science, what are the organisms making the ocean glow. But instead tonight you're going to hear about the art of it and how you can capture that art and take it home with you at a future time. Bioluminescence, I think, brings out the kid in everyone. It certainly does for me. It's one of those things that is out of a storybook. Really feels like fiction, but it is reality. There are hundreds of organisms that can do this type of activity, and some of them are found in coastal areas, so you can go to a beach, potentially, and see them in Southern California. It's really a special treat to hear how we can capture these images at night, and I'm looking forward to hearing all of your oohs and ahs as you see the images and videos that we're going to look at tonight. Our speaker, who is going to introduce us to this, I would call him a thrill master, is Patrick Coyne. He's going to be sharing how he captures these images. He's a professional photographer and videographer who specializes really in these low light environments, which means that he can capture things at night like bioluminescence, other marine light, and celestial events like moonrises, shooting stars, those kinds of things. He is on social media. Maybe some of you are already his followers, and I'm sure you will be if you aren't already by the end of the evening. So I encourage you to check out his accounts. Tonight, he will show you some of his best of. So not just the most recent, but the best of. These are really incredible photos, and so while you would think photos aren't interrupted by your phone, they are. So I want to make sure that you all are silencing your phones right now to make sure the experience is as wonderful for you as your neighbor. And I'm going to take this moment now to give a big round of applause to welcome Patrick up to the stage.
I'm going to start my little timer here. All right. Well, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. My name is Patrick Coyne. I really want to take this moment to thank the Aquarium of the Pacific. I really didn't think that this is something that I would do. I'm typically behind the camera. It's not something that I like to be in front of the camera, but my friends convinced me to do it, and I want to show you guys all the different photography that I do. So, as mentioned before, this is definitely not the science behind bioluminescence, but basically my favorite moments and the things that I've filmed over the last 10 years. We're going to start this presentation talking about something that I know the most about. I feel like I am definitely the best in this field, and that's because it's about me. So we're going to start off. we're going to start off really easy for me. I'm born and raised in Southern California. I've lived here my entire life. I played soccer in Palos Verdes, and I really didn't know how beautiful this area was until I started photographing, and I took it for granted. And it's just something that I absolutely love. I don't plan on moving anytime soon. I love traveling, but California is my absolute favorite. I've actually been enjoying the Aquarium of the Pacific since I was a little kid. I remember taking field trips here when I was really little, my little packed lunch, and actually seeing all the exhibits when I was younger. And it's a big reason why I love the ocean, and it's why I'm doing this here today. So this is really special for me because as a kid I was here, and now I get to present to you guys at the same aquarium. I've been photographing and filming for 13 years. I've been doing it for a really long time. I started doing these fun little prank videos with my friends that my parents didn't really care for, and it turned into a passion, filming wildlife. Free Willy was my favorite movie as a kid, so naturally I started photographing things like the ocean and whales. I've actually partnered with the Aquarium of the Pacific on a night dive. If you're not familiar, the night dive is where you can actually come to the Aquarium of the Pacific at night, see all the exhibits. It's 18 and up, so you get to leave the kids at home, get to have a drink, have fun. And we were able to bring bioluminescence to the aquarium for the very first time. So people actually were able to come to the aquarium, see bioluminescence, and get to touch it, feel it, interact with it, which was really, really cool. And the last fun fact Everyone wants to know about the pets that I have because I know it's the most important. So I have 2 clownfish, a mini lobster, 3 turtles, 1 crested gecko, 1 fat-tailed gecko, 3 tree frogs, and 2 jellyfish. And I absolutely love fun names, so my 2 jellyfish are moon jellies, and their names are peanut butter and jelly. So I figured you guys would like to know that. Okay. All right, so now that we got that out of the way, I really want to talk about, obviously, bioluminescence. So I am not a marine biologist, I am not an expert, so I am going to read off of this slide here. Bioluminescence is the production and emission of light by living organisms through a chemical reaction. It's a natural phenomenon where living things create light, often seen in the ocean, with fireflies being a well-known terrestrial example. So bioluminescence is cool because it is that chemical reaction. So any type of agitation, basically a wave crashing or your hand going through it. In this picture right here, the dolphins swimming in it. The dolphins themselves are not bioluminescent, but it's the water around them that is glowing. So it's really cool being able to see these things. We all know what bioluminescence looks like at night. It's this gorgeous blue color, right? It lights up, we all get excited. But I feel like not many of us know what it looks like during the day. So this is what it looks like during the day. This is called a red tide. These were taken by my good friend Royce back in 2020. It's cool because these are not just pictures online. I don't have any pictures of red tide, go figure. But Royce was really kind enough to lend me these photos to use. But this is what it looks like during the day. It's this really orangish red color. Often surfers and people like scuba divers really don't like this stuff because it makes the water really harsh. It's not really clear. It smells when it dies off. But this is a prime example of what it looks like during the day, which is really cool. And the other thing to point out in this is that you can see that the red tide is not the entire beach. So that means that the areas where it is red, those are the areas that you're going to see bioluminescence. So this is a really key factor because you might go to a beach one night where there's bioluminescence and the ocean moves, right? The current, the tides. So it might be one area in one night and then move to a completely different area. So it's a really good example. Now, some of you may have been following me for a little bit, some of you may not, but I think the big misconception when I started photographing bioluminescence was back in 2020, and we are going to talk about that. But it wasn't 2020. It was actually back in 2017 in Malibu. And these 2 images are really special to me. Every photo that I have in this presentation is special. But these 2 are very special to me because these are the first times I actually went out to go photograph bioluminescence. I was a novice. I didn't know too much about it. I knew it happened around the world, but I had no idea that it happened here in Southern California. A buddy of mine named Taylor, he went out to Malibu to go photograph the Milky Way and mentioned that he had seen bioluminescence. And I was like, yeah, right, okay. And he told a group of us, and we all went out, 15 of us, and we actually were able to photograph bioluminescence that night. I actually have a couple of friends who were here with me that night. It's amazing because the first photograph I ever took of bioluminescence had the Milky Way. And then 2 years later, a different friend had mentioned to me that they had seen bioluminescence in Malibu again, and I jumped on the opportunity. I went by myself and scoured the beaches and was able to find it again. So the first 2 photographs ever of bio that I've personally taken, 2017 and 2019, had the Milky Way in the same shot, which is pretty difficult to do, but special to me. All right, cool. So this was the start of me photographing bioluminescence, and I really thought, and still think to this day, that it doesn't happen very often. It doesn't happen often enough, at least for me. But 2020 was the first year where I really started getting into it, where I really started diving in. And we all remember 2020. It was all about COVID. The news was reporting all about COVID. And we really needed something to lighten things up, right? We didn't want to just watch the news about COVID all the time. And the cool part about this video that I'm about to show you is the photos that my friend Royce took of the red tide. This video is actually from the same exact night in the same exact area. So Royce took the photos and was like, we got to go to Newport Beach, we got to go film it. And I drove from LA to Newport, and this is the first video that I ever took in 2020. I'm letting you know right now, my reaction is loud, so just deal with it.
Oh!
That's actually
Holy crap! I'm
not excited at all.
Dude, that was definitely the best one. Oh, water.
This is Royce, by the way, skipping. We were having fun, for sure.
That's beautiful.
Awesome. So that was the very first night that 2020 started off with bioluminescence. And I went to bed Well, I woke up the next morning, shared the video, and the videos absolutely went wild. And it was really incredible. It was fun. People really got to see something neat. The news was reporting on something different. And I thought that was it, right? I thought, okay, well, it happened. The other 2 times I photographed it, it happened, and then it went away. Well, to my surprise, we had about 28 days worth of bioluminescence hit our Southern California coast. I'm talking from Oxnard all the way to San Diego, and I drove everywhere. 28 days in a row. I drove to Newport Beach, down to San Diego. Granted, I probably should have stayed at hotels at that time instead of driving my truck, which is horrible on gas mileage. But it was really amazing, and we went out 28 days in a row, and the next video that I'm going to share with you is a combination of the news that reported on the bioluminescence and that month-long journey that we had of bioluminescence. It's one of my absolute favorite videos. It took me about 2 weeks to edit just to compile all of the footage, but again, this one is very special. Let's play it now.
We've got some incredible video of a rare sight in the ocean off Newport Beach.
Boy, a magical night in Newport Beach.
A whale-watching boat photographer caught the video of dolphins.
Neon blue dolphins, you'd have to see it to believe it, and luckily somebody was there with a video camera to show us.
Photographer Patrick Coyne.
Patrick Coyne by Patrick Coyne,
Local photographer Patrick Coyne.
That's me.
who says it was truly one of the most magical nights of my life.
And that electric blue water, it's described as sea sparkle.
Coming from what's known as bioluminescent organisms.
And it wasn't just the dolphins that were lit up. Watch this.
Bioluminescent waves light up the ocean in Newport Beach.
Pretty cool, right? So 2020, thank you. Thank you. So 2020 was special. Again, over 20 days of bioluminescence, and I dream about it like every single night. It was something that I will never forget, and it's something that it's very near and dear to my heart. But it didn't stop there, obviously. After 2020, it was game on. I was determined to go find bioluminescence as much as possible. And again, it doesn't happen very often, but I went out and I checked. So we're gonna now talk about my favorite bioluminescence moments. I've actually been out and I have seen, I stopped counting, but I stopped counting after 400. I have personally seen bioluminescence now over 400 times and filmed it, which is really, really fortunate. And it was really difficult. There's no way we do 30 minutes and I would tell you all of my favorite moments. It's just not gonna happen. So I chose the ones that I think mean the most to me and I think that tell the best story. And we're gonna start off with the photo on the left. Now, do me a favor, you guys can shout this out. Can anyone tell me what they think is lighting up the bioluminescence on the sand on the left-hand side of this photo? No, not turtles, Mark. I know his voice. No, not grunion. That's a really good guess. Sand crabs. Somebody said it over here. Oh, yeah, you got it. I don't have a gold star for you, but see me after the show. We'll get you one. Those are sand crabs actually moving around in the sand, and they're making all that bioluminescence glow. So it was really cool because the water was coming up, and as it was going down, it didn't light up. But all of a sudden, the sand started just twinkling. And naturally, me, I freaked out and started screaming and photographed it. And this is one of the photographs that I got. So I don't think I've ever seen a photograph of sand crabs in bioluminescence yet. But this was the first time I was able to capture it back in 2023. And I've only done it twice now. So it's really rare when this event does happen. The next photo is Venice Beach last year in 2024. If you're from the area, you may remember that we had some really great bioluminescence in the Venice Beach, Marina del Rey area. And I really love this photograph for a couple of different reasons. If you have ever seen it or you photographed it, you probably know that it's really difficult to photograph bioluminescence. It's not extremely bright. Our cell phones don't do the best job of capturing it, and it's a little bit easier to actually get video than it is photos. But this event was so unbelievably bright that I was able to capture some of the surfers swimming in it, and the wave is just unbelievable, so I added it in there as one of my favorite moments. Next couple of pictures, these ones are really cool. Back again in 2020. This one on the left-hand side is Scripps Pier, and I really love this photo just because that month-long bioluminescence journey, it happened all over the Southern California coast. But I remember this actually happened near the tail end of that 2020 event, and my buddy Mark and I, we had seen it like 26, 27 days in a row, and somebody had reported that there was bioluminescence in San Diego. I live in LA, it's about a 2-hour drive, and I didn't question it. Even though I'd seen it for so many days, we went in the car and we went and photographed it. And the cool part about this photo as well is that normally when you see the waves crashing, that initial crash of the wave is what glows, and then it kind of fiddles out. These waves would come all the way in, and the entire time that those waves came in, they were glowing with bioluminescence. So such a cool area to photograph this. The next one is special to me, not just because it's the beach that I grew up with, but the lights on the Manhattan Beach Pier, if you've ever been, are pretty bright, and bioluminescence itself is not very bright. So if you ever have a pier and you're trying to photograph bio, it's probably not going to happen. If you have a really strong moon, bio is not really great with the moon. So the cool part about this photo is that the bio was so strong that it was able to actually be brighter than the pier lights. And this is the beach that I grew up going to as a kid, right? I came to the aquarium when I was younger. This is the beach I would go and make sandcastles at, and it was really cool being able to see this with my eyes for the first time back in 2020. All right, we got some more. Crescent Bay 2021. This one's really cool just because after 2020, after that month-long event, I for sure thought there's no way I'm seeing bio again for the next 5 years or 10 years, right? And I just had no idea that it was going to happen, and lo and behold, a year later, we were able to actually find it in Laguna Beach in Crescent Bay. And this was really fun because if you've ever been, Crescent Bay is not the biggest beach in the world, and there was only 2 of us that were there that night. But I remember sharing the location of where the bioluminescence was, and about an hour went by and there was 1,000 people on the beach. It was so unbelievably crowded. A lot of people were happy, and some people were, I feel like the homeowners were not really stoked with me. But it was really cool. I mean, it was neat seeing everyone come together and have a really great time, and I think that was the first time most people had seen bioluminescence here in Southern California because we got that month-long of it and everyone was kind of into it and they were wanting to see it, so really, really cool. The next photo is arguably one of the hardest photos I've ever taken in my entire life. I'm talking compared to everything, but this is obviously a dolphin swimming in bioluminescence. This was taken off of Newport Beach in 2020. I have really good friends that do whale watching, Newport Coastal Adventure out in Newport Beach. I've been hanging out with them for a really long time, and we went out to go photograph dolphins swimming in bioluminescence, and I remember the owner did not tell me that until I got on the boat and said, "Okay, Patrick, are you ready?" And I said, "What?" Right? And he said, "We're going to photograph dolphins swimming in bio." And I was like, who, me? Right? I had no idea. And I had no idea how to do it, but lo and behold, we were able to get some really cool photos and really cool videos. And the hard part about photographing something that's swimming incredibly fast in front of a boat at night is that you really need what's called a fast shutter speed to capture that moment. Well, it's so dark that a fast shutter speed just doesn't allow a lot of light to hit. So you really have to follow the dolphin while you're on a moving boat. It's pitch black. You kind of get where I'm going with it. But it's one of my favorite photographs just because it was the first time I'd ever had seen them in the wild swimming in bioluminescence, and it's very special to me. All right, so all of the events, all the pictures that you've seen have all been here in California, Southern California. Now, bioluminescence definitely happens all around the world. I thought it only happened in places like Australia, Tasmania, but I've actually been fortunate enough to have really good friends in Florida, a company called Get Up and Go Kayaking, and they have flown me out. Next week, I'll actually be going, literally a week from now, going to Florida to go film bioluminescence because they actually get a season of it in Florida. So you can actually plan a trip around seeing bioluminescence in Florida. We're here in Southern California. It's just hit or miss. You get here and if it's here, great. If not, oh well, better luck next time. But again, I've gone out 5 years in a row. So these are a couple of videos that I took in Florida. that I really, really enjoy. The first one, these are mullet that are swimming. And the cool part about this is that the second they jump out of the water, the bio stops, right? Because the bio is in the water. So you see them jump, they stop glowing, and then they go right back in and start glowing again. Thank you for that. The wow was nice. Appreciate that. So it's pretty cool. So mullet are cool, swimming in bioluminescence. And the next video is another one of my favorites. There was a lightning storm happening. And of course, me being the person that I am, I didn't turn the other way. I was like, no, we need to go towards the lightning so we can get a video. And this is the video that we captured. Now, us professionals call this sticky bio because it sticks to your, it's definitely not the professional term. I'm just made it up. But yeah, the bioluminescence sticks to your hand. You can actually see the individual organisms lighting up. And it's cool because there's not a lot of agitation. You're just gently putting your hand in the water. And it was so unbelievably bright that it would just stick to your hand and glow. And this happened the entire night, which is really, really cool. It was neat to see. Fantastic. All right, cool. Now, there is a Q&A after this, right? I'm sure you're all aware. And I know that the number one question I'm going to ask is, okay, how do you find it? What are the best ways? So instead of using the Q&A for that moment, I decided to just add a little slide in to tell you about it. So the first best method to find bioluminescence is my favorite, checking multiple beaches at night and often. So I'm the type of person, when I go somewhere, I will make sure I take a detour and I go check those beaches at night. What beaches, you might ask? All of them. Every single one that you can, as many times as possible, because bioluminescence in California is very rare, and a lot of the times when it is happening, we're asleep, right? So everyone's comfortable in bed, but this is the perfect time to then, check for bioluminescence. So the best way to find it is putting yourself in the position to go out and check as many times as possible. Now, I can't check every single beach, right? It can be a little bit difficult, especially driving. So the next method is really important, and it can help you, but it's watching live cameras like Surfline to check for bright bioluminescence. So surfers use these live cameras like Surfline to check what the waves look like during the day. Now, these cameras at night are not great. I promise you it's really, really dark. But if the bioluminescence is extremely bright, it can show up on these live cameras. So a lot of the times I'll use this to check cameras in like San Diego, because I'm not going to just spend every single night 2-hour drive there, 2-hour drive back. It doesn't really make sense. So checking these live cameras can be really, really helpful and show you where bioluminescence is happening. The third one, checking for clues, like that red tide I was mentioning earlier. If you see that red tide during the day, you better believe you should be checking that beach at night. Not all bioluminescence happens after a red tide, but all bioluminescence is caused by red tide. So there's been plenty of moments where I've gone out and I've seen red tide. I've been driving somewhere to go get a haircut or something, and I call my friends and I'm like, oh my gosh, there's red tide. And then I've gone out that night and nothing ends up showing up, but then sometimes it does. But if you do see a red tide, it can be a really great clue or indicator that there may be bioluminescence that happens. The fourth one is not necessarily a method, it's just be prepared. You're gonna lose a lot of sleep. I do not sleep when I go out and search for bioluminescence, especially during 2020, those 28 days in a row. I was averaging about 3 to 4 hours of sleep every single night, which is not great. I don't recommend it. But if you do want to find it as much as possible, you are going to be losing some sleep. Now, I told you the best methods to find bioluminescence, right? And it happens. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. But sometimes we might just go, you know what? I'm just too lazy, right? It all sounds good, right? It'd be really nice if there was somebody who went out and checked for it and posted about it and just told me where bioluminescence was. That would be so unbelievably nice, right? I'm sure someone charges for that, right? They must be the best person in the world. Well, no, because it's me. I actually go out and I go out and check for bioluminescence all the time, and I don't charge anybody. I will never charge anyone. The best way to join me in finding bioluminescence is following my social media accounts. When I see bioluminescence, I will post on Instagram first and tell everyone where bioluminescence is located at, what time it is. I've had too many people, I think over 300 people now are just like, okay, Patrick, can you just text me? Or just text me when you see it. Okay, you and like this whole room. This is 300 people, so everyone in here, I'm gonna have to text at the same exact time, and it's just not gonna work. So social media can really be a useful tool. So following me there is gonna be the best bet. Like I said, I post real-time updates on where bioluminescence is spotted and the location. And all my social medias are PatrickC_LA. All right, fantastic. So we talked about 2020. We talked about some of my favorite moments of bioluminescence. And I want to show you another video that I edited. This took me way too long to edit. This took me about 7 hours, and it's only about a minute long, but this is from 2020 to 2025 of basically my favorite bioluminescence moments. And the cool part about this video is these are videos that I have not, most of them I have not shared yet, so I had to go through all of the archives and find all of my favorite moments, which took a really long time, but we're gonna watch it now. Pretty cool. So, thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate it. I mean, I'm very fortunate to see it as much as I do. It's been something that I've absolutely loved since seeing it in 2017. And, you know, there's a reason why I like to share it with everyone. I don't post on social media to make any type of money, to get any type of sponsorship, but my favorite part about finding bioluminescence is, one, I'm a little selfish, just for me, I want to see it first, but it's amazing being able to show all of you bioluminescence, so that's why I post online and I try to tell people exactly where bio is located, and it's been really great. I mean, I've had thousands of people join me on the beach and get that really excited reaction when they see their first wave crashing or maybe a dolphin swimming in the bio, which is really, really fun. So for me, this has been really special, and then being able to talk about this here at the aquarium has been just an absolute honor. I want to ask you all a quick question before we start wrapping things up. It's a little bit hard for me to see, but please raise your hands as high as possible. Who here has not seen bioluminescence in person yet? Please raise your hands. Okay, almost everyone, holy moly. Okay, so most of you, right? And are some of you going like, okay, when is it my turn, right? I want to see bioluminescence, right? I got to join you. Well, tonight we're actually going to be able to cross that checklist off. We're going to cross that bucket list off. My good buddy Dean is here. I don't know where he is, but Dean, can you stand up for me really quick? Someone point out, where's Dean? Everyone, this is Dean. Give him a round of applause really quick for me. So Dean owns a company called Pyrofarms, and this is the bioluminescence that you can take home. Holy moly, there's a lot of you. I could not see earlier. But Dean was very gracious enough to actually bring bioluminescence here tonight. So I made sure that this was not in the presentation or not on the website. So you are all going to be able to actually see, touch, and feel bioluminescence in person tonight. And I'm not the expert, thank you. I'm not the scientist and I'm not the expert. My friend Dean is. So if you have any hard questions, I'm going to direct them to Dean after this presentation. And then I just wanted to say thank you. Seriously, it means a lot to me. I appreciate it. Thank you, Dean, for being here tonight. Thank you to the Aquarium of the Pacific for always having me. This is the second time I've been able to actually bring bioluminescence to the aquarium ever, which is a big deal for me. And again, as a kid growing up and coming to the aquarium, I feel like 5-year-old Patrick would look up and be like, that's pretty cool, right? So it does mean a lot to me that you came out. We're going to do a Q&A right now. And then do me a favor. I'm going to tell you ahead of time. I want to take a picture with you all. So right after the Q&A, I'm going to move my camera right here. You can make a silly face, jump up and down. Just don't hurt yourself. But we're going to take a photo right after the Q&A. All right. Thank you all very much. I really appreciate it.
We will have some volunteers walking up and down the aisles. So if you have a question, raise your hand and someone with a microphone will come around. AV team, if you could pull up the lights, and we'll get started.
Thank you.
Up and down, right?
Yes.
Hi, thanks for sharing. Where in Florida have you been?
Ooh, that's a good question. Where the bioluminescence is located is Marriott Island, the Indian River Lagoon. So that's where you want to go. And if you're looking to go kayaking, the company that you would want to go with is Get Up and Go Kayaking. They're absolutely phenomenal. They have these clear kayaks that you can actually see the bioluminescence go all the way underneath. So I highly recommend going with them. But it's Marriott Island. No, I'd have to look at a map. To be honest with you. Yeah, Marriott Island. Thank you for your question.
Hi.
Hi.
Is red tide toxic to animals or people?
So again, I'm not an expert in this field. There have been times where red tide is toxic to animals and people. Typically, the bioluminescence here in Southern California has not been toxic. I've swam in it way too many times to to count at this point, so it's been fine, but I would always preside with caution. So some red tide can be toxic, but not all red tide can be toxic. And thank you for your question.
Thank you, Patrick. You had mentioned that California is more sporadic while Florida is more...
Trying to find who's talking. Oh, there you go. Thank you so much. There's too many of you.
So you had mentioned that California is more sporadic, but Florida is more...
Correct.
Cyclical. Do you have any insight into why that is?
Not necessarily. They're just completely two different ecosystems. Here in Southern California, basically it needs to be like a perfect storm. There needs to be a lot of nutrients that pop up, followed by a lot of sunlight, and that it can create what's called that algae bloom, that red tide. So here in California, after a really good rain followed by sunlight, we can see those algae blooms. Florida, during the summer, just basically gets that congregated in that area every single summer, so you can plan around it. We've been, this will be my 5th year in a row going. I haven't been, but they've already told me that it's there already, and I've seen it now 4 times in a row. Certain years are better than others, but Florida just gets that constant state during that summertime, where here in California, it's just a matter of, whether or not we have that perfect storm with perfect conditions. Thank you.
Yeah, that was pretty amazing, but I have to ask you,
Yeah.
do you have a day job?
I do. I work 9 to 5. I work for Apple, so that's my. I do that full time, and then on the 2 days that I have off, I photograph all of that. And that's not bioluminescence. It's not the only thing that I actually photograph. I do a lot of landscape, architectural, and wildlife. I do a lot of whale watching. I like to go to different pretty areas. So I do all that on 2 days off, which is not enough in my opinion. But yeah, thank you for your question. And do me a favor, please raise your hand. There you go. Perfect. You did a phenomenal job.
I was lucky enough to be in Mexico in Puerto Escondido, and with bioluminescence, and we swam in it, but we couldn't get it in our cameras. We tried to take pictures, so I'm blown away by this. None of our cameras, we took photos, none of it showed up.
Yeah.
So how do you do it?
Yeah, it's a real big pain. Yeah, it's a real big pain. I appreciate it. Thank you. So the phones, right? Most of us have cell phones that take video, and that's usually what we're using. I know that some of us might have cameras. The phones are just not really that sensitive enough to see the bioluminescence. It really isn't. I mean, it can be really bright, but there's conditions, right? Some nights it's brighter, sometimes it's a little bit darker. But basically with these cameras, I have really specialized low light cameras. And essentially what you want to do is we want to use a lens that has what's called a wide aperture. So kind of like our pupils, whenever we go into someplace that's dark, our pupils get really big to let in the most amount of light. So you want a lens that essentially does the same exact thing. F1.8, 1.4, those are the types of lenses that you want to use. And then not all cameras are the same with video. Some cameras do better with low light video than others. I shoot all of my videos on a Sony a7S III, and it has been the absolute dream camera for bioluminescence. So it's a combination of having the right gear and then the right setting, right? You need to be a slow shutter. But the phones, they just don't do a great job because those cameras are about this big. So it's tricky. When it's really bright, you can get it, but all of those videos were taken on my professional camera. Thank you for your question.
Okay, I have a question. So,
I know her. That's the only reason why. Hi, Sherry.
hi. So when you find the bioluminescence, how long does it last?
Ooh, that is a good question. So bioluminescence doesn't really have a certain duration of how long it lasts. So it really is random. The last time I found bioluminescence was actually about a month and a half ago, and it only lasted 1 day. So it was only there that night. I went the same day, checked beaches around it, and it didn't show up. So it really just depends. We all saw that red tide photo. If there's a little bit of red tide, probably not going to last that long just because the ocean is moving around. It can kind of get rid of it. But if it's spanning the entire beach, those events can last a month, like in 2020. We've had other events that have lasted about 2 or 3 weeks that have been the brightest bio that I've ever seen. So there's no way to really tell, like, oh, this one's going to last a day or this one's going to last a month. So whenever I share about it, whenever I'm telling people where bioluminescence is, I tell people, just go that night, right? Just go, because tomorrow it could be gone, or it could last a month. We hope that it does, but a lot of the times it usually lasts, I would say, anywhere from a couple days to maybe a week if we get lucky. Thank you for your question, Sherry.
Question here. You're right.
All the way up there. Thank you.
You mentioned it. Thank you very much, Patrick. This is
I appreciate that. Thank you.
You're an amazing photographer.
Thank you.
You mentioned in one of your slides that rain followed by sunshine.
Yeah.
Is that because there's I don't know, rain washes something down?
Yeah, there's just a lot of nutrients. Yeah, you're right. There's a lot of nutrients that go into the ocean, and essentially bioluminescence, that red tide, that algae, is like a plant. So there's a lot of nutrients followed by sunlight, which the nutrients basically pop up more often when there's a good rain. That is where you're going to get that red tide, that algae bloom, and then see bioluminescence that night. So yeah, it can definitely help out. Thank you for your question. Good questions.
Okay, I think you may have already answered it. What causes red tide to begin with? And the second one is, when the bioluminescence disappears, is it because the organisms have died? And that they just, their light goes out, or what is that?
Good questions. The first question I highly recommend talking to Dean, just because I feel like he's going to do such a better job in explaining the science behind it. And I'm going to be honest with you, he's probably explained it to me about 30 times, and it's gone in ear and went out the other because he's so knowledgeable, and I'm just listening to him, but then I don't remember. So the cause of it, I would definitely ask Dean just so he can give you that specific answer. But you're 100% correct on the second part. Basically, when bioluminescence, doesn't show up anymore, it dies out. And that's where you might start smelling the red tide, where, when you're on the beach. That's typically when that bioluminescence is no longer going to be lighting up at night. So yeah, it does die out. Thank you for your questions. I'll make sure I introduce you to Dean after, too. Make sure your question's answered.
Hi, over here.
How's it going?
So when I've seen bioluminescence,
Yeah.
it's been slightly offshore, and it only looks white. It doesn't look blue, like, you've not seen the photographs, it's blue, but I've seen it a few, at least a couple times. And of course, my cell phone is only white color.
Right.
So I was wondering why it's only white, and also because it was slightly offshore, I couldn't feel it.
Yeah.
So we were wondering how it feels as well.
Good questions. I personally have never seen like white bioluminescence. A lot of the times, what can be a little bit tricky to see is if there is the moon that's out and you kind of start touching the water, the reflection of the water, it kind of looks like this sparkling effect. A lot of times I've had other people say, oh, I'm seeing bio, but it isn't blue. And a lot of the times in my experience, I'm not saying your experience, but mine, is that is the moon or some type of light source that's reflecting off it. If the moon wasn't there, then I have no idea at all. When you touch it, it feels like seawater. Like it literally just feels like seawater. There's not really something that you're feeling in the water. They're so unbelievably small, so you're not really feeling anything different than what you would normally feel when you're touching the ocean.
You don't need to wash yourself off more.
I would definitely recommend washing your hands or whatever you put in the ocean when you do that. I definitely take a shower right after. But like I said, I've seen it a bunch of times, and I've jumped in head first. You saw videos of me swimming in it, so I'm not saying everyone needs to do that, but I definitely do that. But shower afterwards for sure. Thank you for your question.
Right over here on the left.
How's it going?
Pretty good. So all your experiences when you've gone to these beaches, I'm sure you've looked at the day, the month, the hour, and everything. What's been your hot month that when that time comes around, it's like your lucky month?
That's a good question. I think a couple years ago, I did have that quote unquote hot month where I was like, oh, it happened this year, and we got to check again. But as I've noticed, Mother Nature just really doesn't like to play by any rules. It just happens when it happens. And bioluminescence does typically happen a little bit more during the summer. But the best bioluminescence I've ever seen happened to be in November, right, in October. So it kind of just basically combated that. So I would say the summer can definitely be more of a, oh, I'm thinking about it maybe a little bit more because it gets a little bit warmer, because we're getting the sun and those nutrients. But there hasn't really been a month. In Florida, August. I always go in August. So if you ever go to Florida to go see it, August is the month that I like to go, but it's all summer. But here in California, it's so rare and random. But the summer can be a little bit better.
Right on. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank
Left
you.
or right? Oh, thank you so much. question. The light pollution definitely plays a factor when you're, doing any type of astrophotography. It's way too bright and the Milky Way basically gets washed out. But if you go really further into Malibu, places like Rio Creo and El Matador State Beach, it does get dark enough to where you can actually photograph and film the Milky Way, and places like Osborn, because it's completely away from there's still light pollution from the left and to the right, but those are way further in where you can actually see the Milky Way. I will say this as well, the camera does a way better job than what our eyes are seeing, so you are being able to pull out the Milky Way via what's called a long exposure. So about a 30-second picture that brings out all the detail of the nighttime sky. So it's not completely away from light pollution. Places like Joshua Tree, right, are going to be way better to see the Milky Way, but it does get dark enough in further up north, places in Malibu, to actually see the stars. Yeah, you can do, for the camera, to take photos like that, it's usually a longer exposure, depending on what lens you're using, about 15 to 20 seconds to try and capture those photos. It's a little bit tricky with the bioluminescence because the bio is kind of crashing and then going away. So if you do too long of an exposure, it just kind of looks blurry, you don't see it. So you try to have to blend the two if you ever try to capture both bioluminescence on the Milky Way. Thank you for your question.
Hello there. So I'm fascinated by the fact that I think perhaps temperature of the water has something to do with it. I recall when I was a lot younger that we had bioluminescence in the Alamedas Bay and along our shores, and it was fun to swim through the water and watch your hands go through the water. But that time, the ocean water temperature was about 73 to 75. We haven't seen that temperature since that time. Does temperature have something to do with it?
I would say yes, and the thing for me though is I haven't really checked what the temperature is when I go and photograph different events for bioluminescence. It's more of like what month we're photographing. And typically in the past, we've thought that the summer, the warmer times, the warmer water can basically have more red type blooms, those algae blooms. But as I mentioned earlier, I've seen some of the best bioluminescence in the winter, and the water is a completely different temperature. So I definitely want to say that temperature does have something to do with it, but it has not been the main factor because the temperature via summer versus winter is so different. And we've thought in the past that summer was better, but then winter ended up showing up a lot better. So I think it really just has to do with conditions. Yeah, it's kind of a toss-up. Trust me, I wish I had Mother Nature on the line and be like, yep, I get it. It doesn't work like that. Yeah, I wish. But again, Dean, I'm going to say this again, but I think Dean can give a way better explanation of a little bit more of the temperature. But I've seen it during the summer and the winter, and it's been great both times. And thank you for your question. Appreciate it. Yes. 2 more questions? Okay, we got 2 more questions.
Go ahead. You mentioned the balance between getting the wave crashing but also having the longer exposure. Are you using a timer? How do you kind of get that balance?
It's a good question. Maybe we'll do a next Wednesday's talk on how to photograph bioluminescence. That might be a good. So yeah, you're 100% correct. The Milky Way is pretty dim. You can see it with your eyes when you're out, but it still looks kind of like dust. And in order to capture the Milky Way, you really need a long exposure, anywhere from like 20 to 30 seconds. The hard part about that is it's not a quick picture. Basically, anything that's moving in that photograph is going to blur out. So when you're trying to get a wave crashing, right, the wave crashing is only about 2 seconds. You really want an exposure that's going to be better for that wave crashing versus the Milky Way. So it's a balance of making sure that the shutter, right, your exposure is slow enough to capture the Milky Way, but fast enough to capture the wave. It depends on how bright the bioluminescence is, how bright the Milky Way is, and it's this constant balance, as you mentioned, of like which one is going to be better. So there's I don't just get there and take a photo. I'm like, okay, perfect. It's like, oh, okay, I need to be a little bit faster, need a little bit slower. And then there's other settings like ISO, which is the camera's onboard light that you can crank up the aperture of your camera. But yeah, it is that constant balance when you're photographing the two. It's pretty challenging. And thank you for your question. Appreciate it. One more, last one. I'm so sorry, could you repeat that one more time? I have not taken photos of fireflies. I've seen them as a kid. I definitely want to go. I think that would be really, really cool, especially now with all the knowledge that I've had over the years of photographing. I did recently, last year, photograph what are called fireworms, and they're bioluminescent fireworms, and it's not blue, they're green. So they actually produce this green bioluminescence. It's a mating ritual, and I was able to photograph that off the Newport, like Newport Harbor, which was really, really cool for the first time, and I never knew that that existed. But no, never photographed or filmed fireflies yet, but it's definitely on the bucket list. All right, cool. Thank you. All right.
Stay in your seats
Oh, yeah.
because you get to be a part of the photo.
Yeah, you all have to stay for my photograph. I'm
So
sorry.
as
You signed
Patrick
up
is
for it.
setting up his tripod, I'm going to give you some instructions. So multitask. Please do stay in your seat so we can get a great image for his scrapbook and maybe social media. But your evening is not over. As you heard, we have bioluminescence here tonight. Bioluminescence requires that dark, dark setting. So you can't all see it at the same time. It's not going to be on the stage here. So we have an organized process for you guys to line up in order to gain admission, part of your ticket for this evening, into this special room that has been kept particularly dark. So if you're interested in seeing that bioluminescence, you're going to exit towards my left. If you would like to see the second round of bioluminescence, or maybe you'd like a cocktail or a craft first, you're going to exit to my right. All of you are exiting on this ground level the same way that you came in. Let me know when I should stop when you're ready.
I'm so ready. Thank you so much.
Let me go
Okay,
sit down. I
so
don't
you
wanna
guys can
ruin
all
the shot.
smile, take a picture. I'm going to set the timer, run into the shot, and then I'm going to check it. No one's going to get out of their seats. I want to make sure that nobody blinked. I'm going to count every single person. Obviously kidding. Okay, let me set this timer and get in here really quick. And thank you all for doing this. Okay, here we go. We can Photoshop it if you want. All right, smile. 10 seconds. Don't move. I'm gonna check. I told you I was going to. Fantastic. Thank you guys all so much. I appreciate you being here. Thank you.
Okay, while you're still in your seats, I want to encourage you to come next month. This is a monthly lecture series. What's happening next month? California condors. So we're going to have Jake Owen from the Los Angeles Zoo talk about their recovery of that really amazing species. Maybe you've had the opportunity to see it. We also encourage you this evening, yes, round of applause for Jake as he's come forward next month. This evening, you also have the opportunity to get trading cards. So as you exit, you'll have some trading cards. We also have a QR code available on our screen. If you liked the performance tonight and you want to support us offering these great opportunities into the future, give us a quick donation. We'd really appreciate it. Thank you so much for being here tonight, and we look forward to seeing you next time.